Hello, I'm Dinus the Mirror.
Countries. Then you have the head from, the president, general secretary from different countries. Then we have meetings. I'm just saying that in a way,
I agree.
Like in a way, it's trying to unify everybody together. But just saying ADOS is only for AA immigrants, the African immigrants. They should go back. They should use a big poster.
No. I'm not. Okay, this is the thing. I'm not saying they should, but I'm not being hostile. I'm just saying my thing is an immigrant in a foreign land. His objective should be to learn everything he can.
Yes.
In the West. That's what the Chinese did. Look at China.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
they had to go back and build.
How would you know an African immigrant that's trying to learn everything that he wants to learn? That means we just stop them on the road and ask them, what are you here?
No, of course not. I don't do that.
So it's not easy for you to know, people are
Okay, we'll do this. Show me I would say, okay, so we'll take, since I'm in Nigerian immigrants, point to me or show me how Nigeria has been benefiting from Nigerian immigrants overseas.
Recently.
Where's the return at? Show me the return.
Okay, fine. Some of them actually send money home. I don't know if you heard about
that. We're not talking glorified aid. That's aid. That goes to their individual family members.
Well, some of them actually still build schools.
Okay. Who's built the schools? Okay, I'll give you that one.
Find out on that. But some of them actually contribute to schools. I know there's this Lagoon school on the island as well. It was established by women. There's this foundation, what's it called now? It was established by women. It's on the island. So I know that some of them actually do contribute as well, not just only to their families. They actually still also to their community as well. They try to develop their community as well. So and again, this Showori guy, is it Showori?
Yeah. He's in the UK.
Yes, he actually came back to run as a president.
But where is he now?
He didn't win, but he made an effort to run. So that's what I'm saying, that they're all, and some of them, I have a colleague.
I actually like him. Amole.
Yeah.
I like him.
But they made a mistake actually.
What mistake did he make?
They were all supposed to come under one party. I said they made a mistake in the.
Who's they?
Okay, that's the young politicians now.
Okay.
There was Shori, there was Mogalu, there was Fela Durute.
Wasn't who's the actor? Banky?
Yeah, Banky Dory.
Wasn't he running?
He ran for what's it called? I think National Council something, but it was not presidential. It wasn't presidential.
Okay.
Yes. So they were supposed to. That's the young politicians now. They're supposed to come under one party. They're trying to. The thing is, what they were supposed to do was come under one party and try to move or push these selfish old politicians out.
Right. Yeah.
But what they did was there were 75 parties. There were 75 presidential parties.
Right.
It's not done, and it's too silly. You have so many people voting for Fela Durute, voting for the young politicians are supposed to come under
together more.
Yes.
Ego. Stop it.
Exactly. So that the part, it was because I heard initially that they were coming under a party.
All I'm saying is Africa will not be great until its entire diaspora, Black Americans, whoever you want to call it, its entire diaspora comes back and helps rebuild Africa.
Then again, I agree.
And that's all I'm saying. I know a lot of Africans in Africa get offended when people say that.
I agree. But then again, people, how will I put it now? Some people, because I don't want to generalize, some people misinterpret that and think Africa is just jungle there's no developments and everything is just so bad and everything is not developed. Because sometimes when you read comments online, you see people saying Africa is this, Africa is that, Africa is, it's not. It's just best for you to come and see how it is before you just make conclusions on on opinions that with no well-formed research and all that. So, but I agree with what you said.
Brothers in the front, how do you guys feel about our conversation? Like, what are your thoughts? Go ahead.
Well, you listening?
Your
partially.
In your opinion, it's all good.
Opinion, to me, I think you're right to a certain extent, and she's right too. You have the you score the highest points by saying if they don't come back to the country, there will still be this underdevelopment because the people that have the best ideas, they are still there and they don't come here. Even if they come, they just visit and just go back and they don't do anything here. Most times they'll just come and just see and
send money.
The country is not as developed as it should be, considering the brains that the country produces in other countries. Because sometimes I read articles and I see that Nigerians are doing things that...
I'll give you an example, not to cut you off. I'll give you back. I'll let you finish your thought. There's a robotics engineer.
Yeah.
Number one robotics engineer on the planet.
Yeah.
Highest paid.
In Nigeria.
But he's Nigerian, but he's in America.
Yeah. So stuff like that, you know, don't think about it.
But I agree with that what's it called? African immigrants, when they're done with what they're doing, yes, they should actually still come back to Africa. But all I'm saying is that they should not, people should not treat them, they should not be hostile towards them.
I'm not being hostile.
Because you don't know who is trying to conclude. What if the person wants to stay there in America maybe for 5 years or in any country they're in for 5 years or 7 years and they just got there and you're saying go back and they've not
Who's saying go back?
I'm just saying,
Who's saying go back?
Who's
saying? I'm not saying that.
I know.
I'm not saying. I'm saying. Are you familiar with Booker T. Washington?
You say?
Booker T. Washington?
Yeah.
You know Booker T. Washington?
Yeah.
All right. So Booker T. Washington, Tuskegee University.
Yeah.
He developed the Tuskegee model. All right. So the Tuskegee model was in place, developed by a black man, Booker T. Washington, so that black people could be in America post-slavery would be completely self-sufficient and not dependent on the white government. So what he wanted to do, I mean, and he manufactured and developed everything from furniture to underwear. Black people, we don't even make our own underwear.
Okay.
We don't develop anything. I mean, we don't even, like I said, we don't even make our own underwear. Like the fabric. This fabric comes from Europe. Ankara fabric comes from Europe. Dutch wax.
But we do tie and dye.
But we do have the tailors.
Yeah.
So
You make it better when you come back.
So what Booker T. Washington wanted to, he wanted to implement the Tuskegee model throughout Africa. So what he would do, he would bring in African immigrants to his university, Tuskegee University, to learn the Tuskegee method, but they were to return back and implement it in their countries.
Yeah, that's the best.
And that's what I'm saying. I agree. Come to America. Come learn everything. But again, when you don't return back to Africa, you're only building the infrastructure of America. And then they complain about how America, how the UK, how the France is destabilizing their countries, and they pay their puppet leaders and install their puppet leaders. But then you immigrate to these countries, you build up these countries' infrastructure. They pay you a nice salary to keep you there. Then they take taxes out. Uncle Sam takes those taxes, puts it in his war chest. Then he uses your taxes, immigrant, to pay your puppet leaders out of your paycheck in America.
But then again, it's not all African immigrants.
I'm not saying all African. I said immigrants. I said immigrants, not just African. I said immigrants. And let me say this: us Black Americans, we're just as guilty. I'm just as guilty. In fact, let me say this: I'm just as guilty. Until I leave America and fully disconnect myself, I'm just as guilty.
Okay.
But the this ADOS movement that we're talking about.
Yeah.
You want to know the easiest way to end it?
What's the easiest way to?
Until Africa recognizes, not just on a spiritual and grassroots level, Black Americans or African Americans in Africa who are victims of the slave trade, as African, you're gonna continue to have this ADOS movement because they just feel as if they're not being accepted. I'm telling you, because the majority of them just want the majority of them just want passports, and to be recognized as Africans on an institutional level.
But it's not all blacks in America are Africans. Like
what do you mean?
Like what's it called? I saw this. I don't know, but I saw this. Was this thing I was watching online. This lady, she was trying to check her ancestral DNA or something. Then she saw that she was what's it called? She was black though, but she was not even African. That she was like so. I think she had like more percentage European or something.
Was it like a black woman or was it like a light skin,
Black skin,
dark skin?
yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying, that sometimes because of the thing is so mixed right now, you don't even know whose ancestor is directly from Africa. That's just the thing. I don't know. I'm just saying.
No, I understand.
Well, it can.
Yeah, but I think the conversation should at least be had, and then we could put in the certain criteria to establish who is deserving of being recognized from a legislative level as African. Let's first have the conversation, or at least put it out there, and then I'm telling you, like the ADOS movement will.
But the thing is that, you know, there's some people that they don't want to come to Africa. And they just hide. I don't know, but I'm just saying what I think is that some people don't want to come to Africa. They just hide under this umbrella of ADOS. Like, fine, thank God we have ADOS. I don't even like Africans at all. Like, there's some people.
It's both ways. Okay, so you have every African country is represented in DC to have an embassy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if African embassies were to reach out to Black Americans, all that would change. You know, you have Ghana year of return right now.
Yeah.
You know, if every African country was to have a year of return and actively go out into the black communities in America and say, look, you're one of us, come home. At least come for a visit.
And
again, we'll give you, you don't have to pay for a visa,
And then again, it's something I also want to declare that, what's it called? You've been to Africa, I don't know how many countries in Africa.
I've been to 14.
14.
14.
I'm very sure you were welcomed.
Of course.
Yes. So I just want people to get it that
and I tell people that. They see it.
Africans are welcoming. Like sometimes I just see some things online that is just so...
No, I'm gonna tell you what the issue is.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm gonna tell you this. Nigeria, Kenya, and Congo, for some reason, bring their biggest coons to America.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Okay.
I call them Afri-Peans. The biggest Afri-Peans coons, they come to America. And what happens, a lot of Black Americans have encounters with these, I'll call them Afri-Peans or coons.
Okay.
And that's why they get a bad taste in their mouth. They're like, okay, if your immigrants act like this, then I can only imagine how the people are in these countries.
But then again, okay.
Which is not true. We can't stereotype Africa or Africans on the continent because of bad experiences with some of the immigrants in America, which I know. That's why I come.
Yeah, but then, okay, the thing is, I don't want to dispute what you said, but the thing is that I've had friends, some of them are still in America, some of them are in Nigeria, but the thing is, I've had friends that went to do their masters, and they tell me that Black Americans are not, or African Americans are not welcoming, they're hostile, that in fact, that they don't even know who is better, is it a white man or a Black American.
Okay, I'm going to say this, any Black person that says that tries to compare any other Black person as far as their, what's the word I want to use, how they were mistreated to white people, I can't take serious. I would never do that.
No, but the thing is that
I would never compare a Black person to the European that colonized you, enslaved you. I would not compare any Black person to the European standard.
It's what they've experienced. Like,
it doesn't. No.